Hi. This is the weekly comics haul review show. I've got 2 weeks worth of comics to look at, so get yourself a coffee or whatever you drink. I'm having a caramel coffee in my Goonies mug. Oh, it's very nice. Right, so it's a stack. It's a stack. So I've got these to review. So it's 2 weeks worth of comics, and actually it's 2 weeks and a few from 3 weeks because I had some put aside for me. And I'm going to do a little brag as well afterwards. Totally unrelated. It's a comic I've not read, but you'll realise why I'm bragging about it soon. So start with the one comic. What? No. I should pause this, but I can't be asked. Okay, so I've got to stop saying so. Anyway, I've not been drinking today. I'm stone cold sober, honest. Um, so, going to look at the two comics that came from Titan. First one is the monthly Conan the Barbarian by Jim Zub, and by art is by the death-defying Danica Brine and Joao Canola, color artist, and Richard Starkinson, comic craft on letters. The art, it's okay, but when you compare it to Doug Braithwaite and is it Delator, Delator, the two regular artists, it leaves a bit to be desired, but it's not by no means it's not bad at all. In a way, it fits with the tone of the story because the story is quite light compared to some of Jim Zub's Conan sagas. It's like a tidy, done in 2 issues storyline. It's basically it's a romp about performing a heist to steal a fabled dagger, and so it's got lots of shenanigans, lots of double crosses, triple crosses, and so on. It doesn't go as planned. What I love about Conan, especially how they're doing it in Titan, because they're doing it very, very faithful in mood and tone to the original Robert E. Howard stories, is how not every Conan story ends where he gets the loot or he gets the girl or whatever. He's not guaranteed to win. Um, and so this finishes in a very satisfying way. So the storytelling is it's fantastic. It's Jim Zub. He's and I'm going to say this because it makes sense when I come to my next one. He's the greatest Conan writer in comics since Roy Thomas. And I'm sure Roy Thomas will now be saying that he created Conan because he likes to do that now, doesn't he? That's the other thing with Roy, with Roy Thomas is how he shoots himself in the foot. He's a brilliant writer, but then he's such a knob as a person. Oh well, at least it's just for bragging rights that he's a bit of an idiot. But yeah, so storytelling, fantastic. Art, like I said, some of it is nice, but it's not what you want. It's not what you've come to expect in the Conan comic. It just feels rushed, I guess, but it's not. It's just the art style. It feels more like it'd be better in more of a mainstream comic. But the storytelling is great. The art, like I said, it's not bad. Far from it. It's very pretty, but actually it feels pretty, and Conan shouldn't be pretty. Um, but I do love that they put aside the B cover for me, and I really do like that cover. Um, but yes, the story I'd give it a 9 out of 10. Art I'd give it a 6 out of 10 this time. So round it up, about 7.5 in total for the comic. And keeping on the Conan train, we've got Savage Soda Conan, which, stealing this from pop culture philosophers, gets the smell of the week, gets the feel of the week. It's just the best value of the week as well. I adore this. This brings me so many happy memories. Flashes me back to when I used to go on holiday when I was a kid. We stayed on this it's basically like a wooden hut. It's like this wooden. We called it a chalet because my mum was a bit pretentious. At the top of Pendle Hill, and there's a farm at the bottom that sold all essentials. They had like a little shop, but they also had a spinner rack. And on that spinner rack, they had the Marvel magazines, and some of the Marvel magazines, were, of course, Savage Sword of Conan, and had Deadly Hands of Kung Fu and that lot. So we are talking like the 70s. And this just gives me that feeling of nostalgia, but especially with this issue where right, yeah, I'm on green. Where I wasn't feeling myself up. Don't go there. I'm turning into geeky old hog tonight. What's going on? No. Next I'll be having here's the scroll, but I can't. I can draw, but I'm not technically minded. Actually, would you like me to do that sometime? Show you my pictures, show you my etchings. I did try to be a comic artist a few years back, and I then moved to doing portraits of different people. Remind me in the comments if you want me to do an episode just showing me artwork what I did. I've not done any art in years, and I need to do again. But I'm digressing again. What was I saying? So talks about memories, blah blah blah. Yeah. Anyway, Roy Thomas is doing the writing on the main story. The main story is about 48 pages, and it's got Delator on the artwork, who's the closest thing we've got nowadays to John Buscema, and it's a fucking amazing story. I devoured this story. Literally, I couldn't do anything else. I was intending to get up, get out, and go to town, just do a bit of, just get some exercise, do a bit of window shopping. Um, but I had my morning coffee, and I started reading this, and I couldn't move until I finished this. It was just a delight. And the artwork, oh my god, it's just wonderful. Delso is one of my favourite artists at the moment. He's got such a mastery of ink and brushwork. And the story is it's classic, but Roy Thomas back in the day, like I said, he's one of my all-time favourite Conan writers. One of my all-time favourite writers of the 70s. I love when he did The Invaders, and then when he moved to DC and did the All-Star Squadron. So I've got a really strong affection for Roy Thomas, even though as a person he's not that nice. Um, and what I like about this, they've let him, because there's no censorship in this. So this is pure Conan. So this is Roy Thomas Unchained. That could be a superhero. Could be Roy Thomas Unchained. Man with a comb over instead of muscles. What is up with me tonight? Honestly, I'm not drunk in weeks, months. Last time I did that video, I was pissed. Maybe that's why I need to have drink to make so I don't waffle. But God, it's going to be a long video. 7 minutes. I've only done 1.5 comics. But yeah, the main story is fantastic. It's classic Conan, but without the verbiage. He lets a lot of the panels speak for themselves. It's a wonderful sequence. Let me just find it. Which is what he didn't used to do in the 70s, but it's like he's learnt that sometimes less is more. Just ah, it's just glorious. I can't find the page what I wanted to find, but there's some wonderful spreads as well. And there's a really nice backup strip. What I'm impressed with is how much of a good writer now, it's good writer, how much of a talented writer Patrick Zirch has become, who normally does really nice artwork. And he does a really good backup strip, The 12th Labour of Breckenridge Elkins, with art by Juan Alberto Hernandez. I did a really good pronunciation then, didn't I? Juan. But the art is beautiful. This was a really fun tale. It's basically the 12 tasks of Samson, but done in like a Wild West setting. So, oh, this was fantastic. I know Geeky Old Hog, go on his channel, always worth a shout out. He gushed over this as much as I did. It's a perfect comic, and this is my favourite format for a comic. I'm from the UK. We like our comics big. Again, Geeky Hog's possessed me tonight. That's what it is. It's his fault, the fucker. Right. So, oh, by the way, great backup cover and great cover. Some nice posters, and there's an interesting article about how they're doing. Conan's become a character in Mortal Kombat. Yeah. Oh, it just. I mean, it's $6.99. You get 64 pages of content. It's wonderful. This gives me the same kind of buzz I get from the Just Dread magazine, where you're paying a little bit extra, but you get tons of content. And we'll be doing a feature on recent months of Judge Dredd, because I've not done one in ages, but that's for another video. But yeah, I'm going to give this 10 out of 10. And you understand why Geeky Old Hog made this his comic of the week, but I mean, there's going to be a few 10s. What I've done I've stripped my comics back quite a lot. So I've stopped all of Marvel. My policy is, will I read it again? I was getting emotional. The reason being, they only cost me a quid each, if less actually. And I was enjoying it, but I thought, would I read it again? And the honest answer is no. I was getting Helverine. Would I read it again? No. Good, good story. Maybe I'll read it electronically. I'm just not getting that buzz from Marvel at the moment. The only time I got a buzz from Marvel recently was the Ultimates book by Dennis Camp, who I think is a genius writer. But again, it does great that it skips a month each issue. And I've done a review on that if you want to check my video. Plug, plug, plug. Where am I going? Oh yeah, so so I've trimmed down. Got rid of a lot of superhero ones. Ones that are good. But I've stop ones that maybe I've just got one or two issues of. Um, some I was going to stop, like the Superman titles and Justice League and World's Finest, but I've decided I can't. It's Dan Mora, it's Joshua Williamson, it's Mark Waid, he has got to be one of the best super mainstream. Oh, 1 second, I'm gonna pause. Mainstream superhero writers going. He's in a whole other league. So I'm carrying a chunk of some, but I'm stopped others like Aquaman, Challengers, and so on and so on. So I've got rid of about 10 regular comics. So after this week of 2 weeks, my review should be a bit more precise and concise. And I've stopped, apart from series that I nearly finished, distillery ones. I love distillery, but going forward, I'm going to now, instead of having the fear of missing out mentality, I'm just going to get them in the deluxe hardcovers. It's the same price to get the deluxe hardcovers as it is to get free issues in the floppies, and it's better quality. And I think one reason I wanted to wait a bit, I wanted to see if they were still carrying on with doing that, and they are. So that's what I'm going to do with Distillery. But there's about 5 titles, but I'll carry on getting until they finish. So I'm not stopping Distillery, just going to get them in a new format. And when I get the books, I will do a review of the hardbacks. So that was very long-winded. I'll move on to the next publisher, and it's Oni, and it's EC. And so I paused this for a while, but I'm fully back in with with the EC line. So Epitaphs from the Abyss. This is issue number 8. So Stephanie Phillips has a story in. Brendan Hay, not familiar with them, and writer Joshua Hale Balakov. I think I've read some of his stuff, but Stephanie Phillips, I love. Valeria Bozo does the artwork, and on the other one, PJ Holden and John McCrae do the artwork, and they're two of my favourite British artists. And then you have Sorrentino doing the backup strip. Now the first story really, it freaked me out. It's like she reached into my brain. I'm gonna spook myself now. When I was a kid, about this is story time. This is going to be a long video. When I was a kid, about 6 or 7, we used to have a guy our next door neighbour, and I'm not. Well, I love. I thought this was getting rusty. I love stories about ghosts and supernatural shenanigans and stuff. But I'm more Team Skeptic. If you watch Uncanny, then you know what I'm talking about. And when I was a kid, there was a guy next door, and he was into everything, or any kind of occult paraphernalia. He was into. He was like, he was like the Northwest version of Aleister Crowley. Really, he was just drenched in it. And at night, when I slept, my room was facing his wall, to his because we lived in terrace houses. So my wall was adjoining to his house. When I used to go to sleep at night, I used to get woken up. I hear this voice but say my name, and then he'd say backwards, and then he'd say forwards again. He'd say, "You belong to us. You belong to us." Freaked me the fuck out when I was a little kid. Until he died, I didn't have I didn't have any uninterrupted sleep. So every night was interrupted, and these faces used to come out of the wall and say my name. They used to move like that. Used to see figures walk across the window of my bedroom when we were like first floor up. And this story has that same scenario. So I literally dropped the comic and said, what the fuck? Has Stephanie Phillips been reading my mind? So that sent a shiver down my spine. Yeah, it's back on track. It's an anthology, so there's going to be some that are more hits than others that might be slightly bit more of a miss. But overall, I'd give this an 8 out of 10. I'm I'm invested. And now that I've stopped distillery, I can get stuff like this. So I'm invested in the Sea line, and there's a few new ranges coming out soon. I might do like a special news piece on that about what new stuff is coming out soon. But yeah, 8 out of 10. So waffly tonight. I do apologise. By all means, leave a negative comments if you don't like me being this windy, this verbose. Next one. This was up about 3 weeks ago. Book Wars #1 by Jason Aaron and Mahmoud Asra. So, bottle synopsis. This has been reviewed loads of places. So, it's basically um, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids meets It's a Bug's Life. But for me, it reads more like the Micronauts, but insect version, and it's wonderful. It's definitely not for kids. It, looking at it, you think, oh, it's going to be cutesy. It's not cutesy. There's tits and ass. There's violence. There's bodies being skewered, heads being squished. But it's got this interesting setup story where there's about these two kids and the mum, and the dad passed away a number of years ago, and it reveals what happened and why one of the sons is basically dysfunctional, and it leads to this event where one of the kids, this guy here, he ends up in this bug world. He shrinks down to the size of the bugs, and this whole microcosm of all these warrior races, but bug size. So very much, like I said, very much like Micronauts, which I loved back in the day. And there's plenty of back matter. It's $4.99, but there's well over 40 pages. Cardstock cover, gorgeous art, great story. I'm in. I think it's initially 6 issues, but hopefully they'll do it like series and mini-series. But I'm invested. It's very original, very fun. Jason Aaron is on fire at the moment. 9 out of 10. This comic blew me away. Wow. The art is just woof out there. It's just wonderful. So this goes into the origin of her. I'll just cover her boobs up. The main antagonist who's basically killing. There's this with the World Trade. There's this deep web, dark web. What basically, if people watch it, it sparks something like the synapse in the brain, and they become serial killers. And this goes into her origin story about how she initially got sucked into the machine. And the art is next level. It's like Cyberpunk meets Videodrome, which is one of my favourite Cronenberg films. So for me, this was ticking all the boxes. It left me shaken, left me unnerved. And yeah, James Tynion is one of the best horror writers out there at the moment. I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10 as well. I sincerely say you need to check this out in collected format if you've not been buying it monthly. Some people that gave up, and you missed out if you gave up on it. Wonderful, wonderful comic. Talk about wonderful comics. Hornsby and Halo, #4. I got the Ivan Rice cover. I didn't ask for it, it was just in my pull box. But I do like the cover what I got. The art by Peter Snowsberg has really come on. This is more like now the stuff he did for Books of Magic. So it's really getting the mythology behind the characters. It's getting very much this cosmic battle going on between heaven and hell, and these two kids are caught in the middle of it. So she's basically from a child of hell, and he's a child of heaven. But they were put on Earth and planted. One was planted. The one whose childhood was planted with these, basically like Christian folks, and he was the one who was the angelic kid. He was left. He was being raised by these parents who were scum of the earth, basically just really horrible people. So it's got that story going on, but it's also got this, like I said, heaven versus hell vibe going on, and it's wonderful. It's not quite a young reader's book. It does things that are slightly darker, but I'm having a blast reading this. It reads like a good Tim Burton movie. Yeah, I give this 8 out of 10. Really enjoying it. And then we got let's move. Have any more image? I'm sure I have. Yes. One more image, and another shout out to another Fred's friend, and another one whose channel you need to check out, DC Patrol. And I am now getting G.I. Joe, not the Lionheimer one. That's just too heavily into the G.I. Joe lore, which I have no interest in. but I'm enjoying this. I did not like the first issue. When I reviewed it, I said it was busy, it was messy, it held no interest for me, and I wasn't going to get it. I'm on number 4 now. I am a liar. I'm happy to admit I lied. Oh, this is going to be fun. And I got the David Finch cover. I do like these David Finch covers. This is great. I'm really enjoying it. Second issue really made sense for me. It kind of like, it wasn't just, first issue was just too much fighting going on. And the pace got a bit more better with the second one. And 3 and 4, the pace got even more interesting. And the characters that they're introducing is great. I adore the art by Tom Riley and Jodie Blair. I love Jodie Blair's super experimentation with colour. It's not regular colouring. I'm all for it. I love it when they take risks with art. This is in my wheelhouse with the art style. So the art style is really good. It's got that almost like European flavour, bit of a Darwin Cut touch to it as well. And the action is great. I've no loyalty or history with G.I. Joe. Even with Action Force, the UK version, none of it means anything to me. Same with Transformers, but I'm invested in the Genesis universe. For Transformers and Void Rivals, I get those in collected trade paperbacks. But for this, it's $3.99. I wanted a bit of variety in my comics, so I went for this. And yeah, 8 out of 10. I'm invested. Great story, good fun. And I've not told you what goes on. So there we go. Next up, yeah, we're on DC now. So final issue, Jenny Sparks. You get about 32 pages of story in here. The artwork is just beautiful by Jeff Spokes, just gorgeous. This book has divided a lot of people. I like it, and I hate it in equal measures at times. Sometimes it's frustrating, other times it's like punch the air. Yes, I can't believe there's that moment. Sometimes it could be a bit on the nose, but other times it's just tongue in cheek. And I guess that's the character Jenny Sparks. I liked her when she first came up, but she was annoying at the same time. She's cool yet annoying, and that's what this comic is: cool yet annoying. So I'd give this issue 7 out of 10. I think I'd give the whole series a whole 8 out of 10. The art 9 out of 10. So yeah, I'm glad I got it, and it was very good value. $4.99 for 32 pages of story. Can't complain. So yeah, that was good, and a very satisfying conclusion as well. But I think for interior artwork, the best one of all my comics, and some stellar art coming from DC at the moment. DC are like up here. Marvel, I am slagging Marvel off how they are now, but I love Marvel when they're good, and I'll give some praise to when they're good. Marvel at the moment's like that for the quality control. DC are way up there. And we now come to one that blew me away this week, and that's issue number 5 for Batman Long Halloween, the last Halloween. So this is one that's the love letter to Tim Sale, but all his artistic friends are doing an issue, a different issue, doing one issue each. There we go. And this one is by Bill Sienkiewicz. Did I say the name right? I don't know. Most I didn't. I always get corrected by it, but wow. It's just, again, it's just wow. And the colour, Dave Stewart is like one of the world's best colorists. It's distinctly Bill Sienkiewicz, but you can tell he's tipping his hat to Tim Sale at the same time. And I like how they're drawing and writing, how Jeff Loeb's writing this character, the Joker, in this. I like classic Joker. I don't like new Joker, but I love classic Joker, and this is very much classic Joker. And what I like with this, $4.99, you get a cardstock cover, and you get an interview with the whichever artist is doing the issue, and you get sketch pages at the back. So very satisfactory read, satisfactory package as a whole. 9 out of 10. Art 55 out of 10. Loved it. But there's so much good art and writing in DC at the moment, especially with the Batman titles. Another Batman one. Let me just have another drink. Is Batman and Robin Year 1 by Mark Waid and Chris Samney, issue 5. I love this cover as well, how they've got half of Batman's face, half of Clayface's face to form one face. So dynamic, so clever. and initially you won't notice it when you just glance at the cover, but that is a really clever cover. It's just wonderful. And they've made Clayface a force to be reckoned with, made him a villainous villain, because for the past 10 years, Clayface has been very much the butt of a joke. TV's not helped, cartoons haven't helped. He's always been this slightly camp character, this failed actor kind of character. But in here, he's scary. He's very scary. He can kill you because he's clay, so he can go and he can suffocate, which is what he nearly did with Batman. And again, the dynamic and how Chris Samney draws Jason, Dick Grayson, the OG Robin is just a delight. This is just great. And it's got one of the best, one of the best lines ever. This of this year so far from Mark Waid. I mean, Mark Waid, gift. He's got a gift with dialogue. So Bruce is talking to Dick, and he goes, because Dick Grayson. This is no spoiler. Dick Grayson gets in trouble at school, so Bruce has to pick him up with Alfred driving. Dick says, "Come on, Bruce. Look on the bright side. If I'm not going to stupid school, I'll have more time crime fighting." And Bruce says, "That's not how it's going to go. I managed to wane the principal into keeping your tantrum off the record this one time. You're going back tomorrow." And then at the bottom of the page, Alfred goes, "Sir, did you just use wane as a verb?" And Bruce goes, "Just drive." Wonderful. This is a delight. It's got this perfect blend of hard-edged crime noir with light retro humour. Wonderful. 10 out of 10 again. Wow. Wow. I don't know why I did that. And another contender for Comic of the Week, Detective Comics from Tom King and Mikhail Janin, who does colouring on as well as his own art. This is carrying on with the storyline where there's where young tearaways, homeless kids are just slightly on the wrong side of the law, are being targeted by this person who's basically killing them and harvesting their bodies. And yeah, it's moving on at such a great pace. Look at that cover. And the art is a delight. It's just wonderful. And I love how Tom Taylor writes Batman. He knows Batman, which is what I felt Chip Zdarsky didn't have. He didn't have Batman's voice. He's got Batman's voice, and he's got the perfect understanding of the relationship between Bruce and Damien. Wonderful, wonderful. 9 out of 10. Just a wonderful comic. Another wonderful comic. One absolute Wonder Woman. That cover. Hayden Sherman. They are so talented. The layouts are so imaginative, and the colours by Jody Belair are just wonderful. They just blend perfectly in harmony with Hayden's art style. The writer by Kelly Thompson has the perfect balance of Greek mythology and action comics. And the Kelly Thompson also makes this version of Wonder Woman so likable and so relatable. She's not perfect by any means. And it concludes the big kaiju fight, which went on for 5 issues. Did it overstay its welcome? I don't think so. It was big, it was epic, and this is what you needed. And they managed to incorporate this version of Wonder Woman's origin into the storyline, as well as having a good old fight with a kaiju. Wonderful, great story. 9 out of 10. Oof. That cover of the week, easily, hands down. Maybe, no, this is cover of the week, easily, hands down. New Gods, number 3 by Ram V, who I adore. If you've been watching my channel, you know I'm a simp for Ram V. And art by Evan Cagle's the main, does the modern storyline parts of it. And each issue has a different guest artist doing the backstory. So the one doing backstory is Ricardo Federici, who did the Action Comics run with Kennedy Johnson. So this delves more into the mythology and the history of the New Gods before the New Gods became the New Gods. And then you have the other storyline, which is the one where Mr. Miracle is on the lam with Big Barda trying to protect the child who Orion's being commanded by Highfather to hunt down and kill. And Oberon's in here, and I adore Oberon, and I adore how he draws him. One of my favourite comic characters. He's up there with Martian Manhunter, who I've got the biggest crush on. I just think Martian Manhunter is just wonderful. And there's so many cool panels. It's not a quick read. This is what I call a toilet read, where you've not got any distractions. You just got the loop, and you got your comic, and you're focusing on it. And oh, it pays off. Artwork is just one great. Layouts just great. Dialogue wonderful. Just take your time. Don't rush. You don't need to rush a comic. It's not overly verbose, but it's just very poetic. Kind of like reminds Ram V writes very much like Ray Bradbury, whereas you could tell there's like a musicality to his writing, and it comes across very much in this. But yeah, perfect. 10 out of 10. Fantastic comic. One comic that I didn't know what to expect, but it really impressed me. Not for the art. The art I knew was going to be great, but for writing as well. Satana, who I adore, and this is your classic Satana. But the art is wonderful, but he's got the dialogue down pat. Jamal Campbell, and the panel layouts are just a delight, which you expect. I mean, that sequence just there, as she's talking, she's doing this trick with this person she's talking to, and it's got the light-hearted fluff of excitement of classic Satana, and then it embraces the other side of Satana, which is almost like vertigo light, and it goes mystical, and it does it in a very exciting, interesting way. And all the layouts are just amazing. I don't know what they're feeding the DC artists, but keep it up. This is what you don't get in Marvel Comics. Background. Unless it's something where you have to pay an extra $3 for, and it's a Jonathan Hickman book. But yeah, this really paid off, and I was surprised by how easy to read it was, because I thought sometimes sometimes when it's an artist writing a comic for the first time, they can be overly wordy, like Tom McFarlane is. He's an awful writer. But no, Jamal, he's got the chops, and it's a shame it's on 6 issues. I hope again this becomes maybe a series mini series, or he carries on writing and they have a different artist to it, because it's a wonderful, wonderful comic. 9 out of 10. Spoil DC, you're spoiling me. This was a comic I was going to stop, but I'm not, because it'd be silly to do so. And this is Superman 23, Joshua Williamson, Dan Mora. So it's carrying on with the storyline where there's Doomsday and also Time Trapper, who is a future version of Doomsday. The art, of course, it's Dan Mora. It's just brilliant. Lex Luthor, I'm glad they've still got him in the beard. He's just a cool motherfucker. Come on. I think Lex is my favourite villain of all time, because he's so evil, but he's so. Sometimes he puts a point across. I think I can't argue with that. And a lot happens in this issue. I don't want to tell you much about the plot, because that's why I'm only showing bits. Things happen to prime characters, what could impact relationships, big style. In fact, you see the breakdown, and to use another character's terminology from Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. And Lois Lane, obviously, she's Superwoman at the moment, and she's now realizing that. She's very blasé with it initially. She's going, "Yeah, I've got all these superpowers," and you got to keep them in check, girl. But yeah, loved it. 9 out of 10. Really good comic. This was contender for cover of the week, because it just ticked on my nostalgia boxes. And to be honest, I'd like Mark Waid to write a Swamp Thing comic. Swamp Thing appears in both of these issues. In this one, it's classic Swamp Thing. In this one, it's the new incarnation. But that cover with, I think that's Floronic Man. So I was going to stop this, but I just shelved it for a week or two, and I picked it up, and it's back on my list. The art by Gutierrez is up there with Dan Mora. It's really good. It's really dynamic, and in some ways, it can be even better. I mean, that picture of Aquaman on the giant seahorse is just dynamic, and the story is just so much fun. I was grinning all the way through this. I really enjoyed it. Good payoff at the end, and it's nice to see Superman written as somebody who's a bit insecure about his feelings, because he wasn't with Lois. This is pre Lois Lane. Or it could be when it's when he's early into his career, and this is when he, a few years beforehand, he had a fling with a mermaid, and she's one of the main characters in this, and so there's this tension going on. It's just great. So, what I like about Mark Waid, he can do action brilliantly, but he can weave in a, a relationship story just really, really well, and the payoff is really good. And it ends on a cliffhanger where you want to know what happens, and it's like like a classic cliffhanger serial what he's got on the TV, where you've got all the different things. You could picture the music going boom, boom, boom to be continued. Yeah, 8 out of 10, really, really good. Good, solid comic. I know some people are divided on this. Some people found it very busy. This is Justice League Unlimited #4 by Mark Waid and Dan Mora, and other people loved it. I'm very much of the loved it camp. It has to be busy for what's going on. There's a lot of things happening all at once, but I find it very easy to keep track, to be honest. Maybe it's because Mark Waid's dipping into plot points or bringing back characters who I've got a strong affection for. Like, for one instance, Teffy Holland comes back, and I used to read the Swamp Thing comic from years ago. Was it Doug Wheeler, I think, who wrote it, where they focus on Teffy's the new Swamp Thing, who's Alec Holland's daughter. And there's a bit here where they go into the green, and it's so psychedelic, and it's just glorious. I had such fun with this comic. I really enjoyed it. It took me time because I just wanted to. If you rush it, this would not make sense. You've got to take your time. There's a lot to digest in this comic. It's like the Absolute Batman comic, where there's a lot of panels, but really, really nice, and I love that. It's just so wonderful. Yeah, really good. It takes out. Sorry. It's what everyone wants in superhero comics. What I've done now, I've really narrowed down what superhero comics I've got, and I've just got them to a nice size of what quantity of comics get in the superhero genre, and the ones what I know I'm going to get a good read from. And they're like superhero comics at the top of the game, and this is one of them. This is a 9 out of 10. Yeah, very, very satisfied with this. I don't know what else to say. If you're not been buying it, it's only 4 issues deep. I do recommend getting it. Um, yeah, DC at the moment are slaying it. Image at the moment are slaying it. Titan are slaying it. Oni's slaying it. Mad Cave are, but I can't get Mad Cave anymore because there's no distribution to the UK, which I'm really annoyed about. Marvel, sort yourself out. I Want to Love You Again. Lots of people want to love you again. I know a lot of Marvel fans are disappointed with you. Stop focusing on films and focus on the comics again. But that's me for this week. I might do another video, but I'll see, because it looks like I developed this really annoying cough, which is driving me mad. If it calms down, I'll do one looking at new releases in May, but we'll see. Okay, bye. Hold on. I've got my little device. Let's see if I can do it this time. Bye.